This is Professor Tim Wilson's Fantasy Restaurant, and I have to say this is the most I've laughed thus far on the podcast. Tim has promised me that when we come to visit him, he will break bread with us, but he won't come anywhere near a salad. So I hope you enjoy this meal with Tim.
I don't know whether I'm good on games.
All right. So it's a game that you can't lose. That's the fun part about the fantasy restaurant.
Okay.
So the fantasy restaurant means I'm going to take you into this environment of your making, whatever you want it to be, and you're going to be able to piece together a meal based on your favorite foods you've ever eaten, favorite restaurant, maybe somebody personal to you has made it. It can be something fictitious. It doesn't even have to exist in reality.
I can tell you exactly what I
All right, so I'm going to start you with, what kind of drink are you going for? Are you going for like a tea, a water, sparkling water? What are you going for?
I would go for tea, but made from a pot. So rather like Julie Andrews when she goes to a rehearsal, she brings a pot with her. A pot, not pot. I'm not making it. She brings a pot with her full of tea, and then she makes traditional tea. And I've always thought that's a good thing to do in a rehearsal. And I've always thought tea breaks, they solve everything. Good, traditional, strong tea, ideally Irish tea actually is the best, with milk, cold milk. And I quite like a bit of sugar. But I have no problem with a nice bottle of decent wine, or better still, a bottle of champagne, or even some single malt. Ideally, something you can't pronounce from Scotland.
All right, and so with the tea, it's always tea first, then milk, right?
Yes, really, it is. Yeah, because this all goes back to your crockery. So it was a mark of snobbery. So when tea became popular, to prove that your crockery was genuine china, had come from China, and that it was good quality as opposed to cracked and sort of old, because you were part of a rather old family down on its uppers. You poured the tea into your cup, and you looked at the tea, and you could see there wasn't a sort of a jigsaw of cracks in the bottom of the cup. But if you had cups which were very good but really a bit old, then you put your milk in first to make sure nobody saw how rotten your teacup was, how rotten your tea service was. Yeah.
Interesting.
It does. I don't think it makes any difference at all to the taste of the tea.
Oh, okay.
Except the worst thing you can do is what happens in quite a lot of restaurants, and I scream, so I tend not to have tea in restaurants. So although you are setting me up to go to a restaurant, I would take a look at the service before I ordered my tea. Or I would be very precise, and there is a tendency for people to produce a cup of hot water which they've got out of a machine, not even properly boiled, cup of water, and then put a tea bag by the side of the tea, as if it's some sort of condom. It's just, it's as pornographic as that. It's a distasteful vision. I don't mind tea bags, but the tea bag goes in first before the water.
Oh, okay.
And that also dictates what you do with your milk. You can't put milk in over a tea bag. That's just fun.
So it's order of operation. That's what's driving you crazy.
Order of operation: tea bag, water, milk. Tea bag, water. Take the tea bag out, then milk.
Do you squeeze the tea bag, or you just pull it out?
I am a dreadful squeezer, yeah. And I don't leave the tea bag in. Leaving a tea bag in is like leaving some garbage floating around in your waste bin. Why would you want to do
disgraceful.
That? So every time you try and drink, you've got this thing bobbing around like some unwanted fish. No, it's not attractive. Or like something like a floater that won't flush. It's not attractive. I'm sorry, my range of imagery is becoming faintly scatterlogical.
It's fantastic.
Apologies.
You're hitting all of the demographics. You're getting everybody in there. I love it.
Yeah. You'll be spreading manure on the garden in any moment.
All right, so
we're going to a debate about whether horse or cow is preferable.
All right, so we've got our drink settled. Now we're gonna move
Yeah.
on. I think you guys call them starters, right? Over here we call them appetizers. Something to.
Oh yeah, wherever there's an opportunity for a simple Anglo-Saxon word, and I'm not thinking of those. A simple Anglo-Saxon word, we go for that. Starter, I think, is okay.
Yeah, yeah. So what's your preference there?
Well, I'm a great fan of stuffed what do you call it? Vine leaves. And I probably prefer them à la Turk as opposed to à la Grec. The Greek ones are a little bit fatter. The Turkish ones are terribly small and dainty, and they've taken about 3 hours to roll. Just one. The whole thing is a labor of love. My partner makes.
So this is a new concept to
So-
me. What are they stuffed with?
Rice and ideally a little bit of meat and some currants or sultanas. So
Okay.
they're sort of sweet and savoury. They're lovely.
love the
They're
combo.
lovely. A new experience for you, and there's a sauce as well. A new experience for you. It is well worthwhile, and you can advance in the things you stuff. You can also stuff cabbage leaves, which the Turks do beautifully. I know I ought to be favouring the Greek version, but I do favour the Turkish version because you could just literally you know this person has been making them over the last fortnight. You can knock them back by the minute and they're all gone. And you think that's a fortnight's work gone in 20 seconds. Yum.
So when you say meat, are we talking like beef or lamb or beef? Okay.
Beef, generally beef, but I have had them in Greece with goat, which delicious minced goat.
Excellent.
Yum.
What kind of sauce? Describe the sauce. What are we talking there?
I suppose it's sort of bechamel sauce, really. It's a very light egg sauce, I think. No, you put me on the spot here. And, it's not sometimes since I've tried making them, I can't really remember. And I tend to forego the sauce. I just think, ooh, there's a lot of hard work. In it goes. Yeah. I can get rid of that.
Stuffed vine leaves. That sounds terrific.
Yeah.
I mean, just the imagery
lovely.
of like imagining it in front of me, it sounds exotic. It sounds cool.
They're only about this big,
Okay.
And they're stuffed. And we actually have vines growing here, so we can in fact, if we want to, make them ourselves from the garden.
Fresh from the garden. That's something I hear you guys say a lot.
Not that we have the goat or the cow in the garden to provide the meat. But you can also do it without meat, and you can do it hot or cold, depending. And the Turks are very, very sort of choosy about whether these should be served hot or cold, depending on what's inside them. So,
And I hear
I'm
British people
also
talk about their gardens all the time. It sounds like such a source of pride.
yeah. We have a little garden. It's not as big as I would like, but when I was a child, we had a wonderful garden with a gardener. It came with a gardener, and we had potting sheds and greenhouses, and that was great. But I was only little, and and I've been back, and it's quite interesting. A lot of the garden has been sold to developers, and so now it's only now it's sort of two lawns, a top lawn and no, I think the 3 lawns are still there, but all the kitchen gardens have gone to develop. But yes, at the time we had a gay gardener who clearly taught me a great deal. I used to go down to his potting shed when I was sort of 7 or something, that magical age. I used to go down to his potting shed, and you'd think he'd be potting up geraniums or something. And no, he'd be sitting in the back of his potting shed doing some needlework, and he taught my mother how to do embroidery and tapestry, and he was a great influence, really.
Interesting.
He also had a great range of imitations of people like Frankie Howerd, who I fear you don't know.
No, I'm not sure who Frankie Howerd is.
He's on your list of necessary things to discover. He was one of the range of camp comedians in Britain in the 1950s and 1960s, and he had a second life when Sondheim's show Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum came over to London, and he took the part, the main part, and he wasn't a great singer, but he was so sensational in that the BBC then gave him their own program set in ancient Rome called Up Pompeii. And his great thing was he would come in, he'd just sort of gurn at the audience. Oh no, titter not titter. Oh, I know where you've been, man. Oh, I know. And all the sort of act out. You think extraordinary. And he put in all these words into his script. No. Oh.
Oh, but
And he tended to start a story and never quite finish it, which I think is a great art. There's so many parts to the story, and there'd be some reason why it was never finished. It was beautifully written and beautifully performed, and he just looked slightly lost all the time. Obviously, I've taken him to heart.
yeah, for sure, for sure. All right, well, let's keep trucking. Let's keep moving. So in between the starter and main, a lot of times we'll get like a bread or a salad or something like that.
Oh, bread, salad? No. Green is to be worn, not to be eaten.
Man after my own heart.
No. I don't like salad. I find salad really repulsive. Greek salad, no problem with a Greek salad. A little bit of feta cheese, some tomato.
Were you gonna do some bread then?
I happily do some
What kind of bread are we talking about?
Cooked pita bread, grilled pita bread, excellent. So some of those little sticks, something Italian, yum. Really happy with that. British bread, really, it's one way or another, it's just destined for dumping, and it's not terribly attractive. Although I like Italian bread, I don't like lots of spices, but I quite like focaccia. So, and I like butter. I'm really keen on butter, and I love challah. So if you give me, it's Saturday today. I can't talk about having a good Shabbos meal because we're recording on Shabbos. How wicked we are. You know, a bit of challah dipped in salt, delightful. That was my childhood as well. So
absolutely. Yeah, when I think of like a good pita bread or something like that, I think of it like sliced kind of thin, toasted with a little bit of maybe like extra virgin olive oil on there.
So where is your name from? Because you Saul. Where's that? This I think West country.
I want to say my people come from Germany, but I'm not 100% on that.
Really?
I think so. So it's probably some bastardized.
Whereabouts in Germany? Is it Bavarian? Or?
I have no idea. It was so far removed that I'm not sure of my etymology 100%. I'm just a regular American mutt.
No, and where are you based in America?
I'm in Texas.
No, I was talking to some people from Texas the other day. I do a program on a Tuesday afternoon in the UK. I don't know what time it is in America, based on Survivor. So they introduced me to really old episodes of Survivor because before I did the Circle, I'd never seen any reality TV. So there is an idea that I'm supposed to have applied to be on the Circle. Complete rubbish. I didn't know what it was. I was telephoned and said, "Would you like to be on this show?" And it was a wet, miserable day in Cambridge. I don't know if you've been to the UK, but you must come and stay. Cambridge is in a flat area of the UK, not quite as flat as the area where I used to live as a child, but it's a flat area. And when it rains, the sky, the whole ground goes grey, and it just comes pelting down. It's lifted out of Siberia and dropped in Cambridgeshire, and you just think the world has come to an end. And so anybody who telephones at that point, you're bound to say yes to them. So that's your in, isn't it? Really, you think?
Yeah. You just needed a change of scenery, is what it came down to.
Ring a British person in Cambridge. Where are you now? I'm in Cambridge. Good. Will you? And that, yes.
No hesitation.
Anytime. Doesn't work anywhere else.
Fantastic. All right. I love how we get food story. I love the storyteller. I am enamored with storytellers.
I'm afraid in other podcasts, these are called my digressions.
Oh, I love it. That's where
there are those people who edit these out, and I think you'll be
never every bit of it staying in. So we're gonna move on to your main course. What's your main?
All right. My main course. Well, I'm I'm a person of habit,
Hmm.
and I always have the same things. So I would always have steak.
Always have steak. But I don't think
So,
that's necessarily a bad idea because if you have the same thing in multiple different places, you're judging one place versus the other, right? So it's kind of a little
yeah,
contest
well,
thing.
I would judge harshly. I know a lot of people who can bastardize a steak within seconds, um, and I know some people very close to me who can do that. But
So close that they're in the other room. Is that where you're going with that?
no. They may have gone shopping.
Wink if
But
I'm right.
there'll be no blinks here. And you see, Bay has an absolute treat when he's working on the Arga, and yeah, steak with cooked spinach. And again, there is always a tendency to want to produce a plate of spinach which is uncooked. I think, what is that? Cooked spinach. It's like that stuff that Popeye has. There you
For
are.
sure.
You see. Yeah, Popeye. And I would be very happy in the States in many ways. I would go to Wisconsin and I would have a permanent supply of cheddar cheese. I might insist on it being a bit stronger than they produce, but yeah, there we are.
I wouldn't suggest going north. It's brutal. It's cold. Not to say the people aren't friendly. They are friendly here. Their accents get somewhat interesting in the
Yeah. I
the
don't know why
Midwest.
I would find Texas difficult. Oklahoma, that's great because it's a Broadway song. And Ohio, another Broadway song. I could make my way through the states on I think Broadway melodies, couldn't I? Is there a Texas one? I'm sure there is
Oh,
a
I have no
Texas one.
idea. Well, I think there's Greatest Little Whorehouse in Texas. Does that count?
Yeah, but my Puritanism sort of comes up there against that one. I find it difficult to even imagine that anything with a red light can possibly exist. Um,
Obviously,
no,
you'll
I
never
did.
go to Amsterdam.
I, would be answered by me. I just wouldn't know what was going on. I worked in London once for an animation studio, and we had the premises above um, a a little dwelling, and the ladies used to come up and look at our pictures, and I think I was there for about a year before I worked out what they
Oh,
did, and I had no idea really, and they used to come up for tea, and I would ask them how was work going, and exhausting. I said so and so today. He's a regular. I think, oh, that's nice. Do you see him often then? How often do you see him? And so I got a lot of information without realizing what was actually going on. Um, you know, I thought they must have been selling something.
well, I mean, technically, I guess they were. So
Yeah, they did a lot of chatting anyway. I know that. I think most of it was conversation.
probably.
Um, rather like when you go to Boots. You so
All right,
they were nice. They were nice ladies. I liked
for
them
sure.
all.
I think
Yeah.
I love humans. They're kind of the best, and sometimes
Don't you?
simultaneously the worst. Sometimes you need a little distance, but most of the time, I find people
No, no,
fascinating.
no, nobody's bad. I've got some people trolling me at the moment on YouTube. And I think they've been sent there by the Kremlin, and and so I just answer their questions, and their English isn't bad. And on some point, I did say your English is impeccable, and they told me not to be so patronising. Since then, I must say, unfortunately, it's gone off a little bit. But yeah, that's my job. That's my job.
Yeah,
It's not patronising; it's called teaching.
yeah, and that's
Um,
the internet for you as well. All
well
right, so
done.
let's
I'll give you a
let's
tick.
let's bring it home. We've got a main is the steak. How do you want that? How do you want that cooked?
Uh, Fairly rare, actually.
Very
I
rare.
but that's never how it's done at home.
Is it like just salt and pepper? See, you're letting it
No,
slip out. You're letting it slip out.
no, slipping out. No. Salt and pepper. Yeah, I don't mind a bit of salt and pepper. No sauce.
No sauce.
No sauce. Sauce is basically a disguise, isn't
It
it?
is.
Sauce and gravy. It's there. It's there because your basic source material is not good. The cat's stepping on the wrong bit of the computer, so you're disappearing suddenly. You're going into a sort of penumbra. Um, but Are you back again
Yes,
properly now?
I am properly back again.
You are back again. You didn't have a moment of disappearance. I did. Yeah. Okay. Go on. Go on.
No, but you're correct. Like, if a steak is good, it stands on its own. I think it's like putting the milk in your cup first. You wanna hide the crimes.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, I a whole point about is there such a thing as British cuisine? Not in my house, mostly Turkish, but is there such a thing as British cuisine? Yes, it's basically good quality food, which is just shoved in the oven and then taken out, and that's it. That's it. We don't do anything with it because the quality of the food in the first place is actually quite good.
Okay.
And then when you go to more interesting parts in the world, the food quality is not so good, so people have to cook incredibly hard to make it presentable. And you take your hat off. I'm not wearing a hat today for some reason. You take your hat off to people who work so hard to make that so wonderful. And then you have places like France where they start with good produce in the first place and then work incredibly hard. And you think, well, this is no longer food. This is an art.
Right.
I like my art on the wall, and I'm not suggesting I'm throwing my food there. I just think, there's other things I can do with my time.
So that's your compliment to the chef. You're just gonna throw their food against the wall. I like it.
I like going to the little French cafes. I don't care much for the big restaurants, but I love the little cafes, and I love sort of wholesome French food. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's go.
Let's finish it off.
Oh, I said with spinach. Yes, spinach.
Yeah. Especially. All right. So
Nothing,
we're at dessert.
Nothing like spinach and champagne. A dessert? You mean pudding?
It could be. I mean, it is whatever you want it to be.
People can get their just desserts, but I would never eat one. But pudding, I would eat. Yeah, pudding.
But pudding is a big encompassing term for you Brits, right?
Yeah. It covers everything. Yeah. But sometimes people think pudding is very specific. There are puddings you can have. There are puddings you can have as your main course. Black pudding is basically a rather thick, unattractive sausage made out of pig blood. That's not something you're going to have after your main course.
No.
Ideally, it's not something that I keep in the kitchen. But it's out there with haggis to be remembered.
So what's in your pudding?
What's in my pudding? Well, I'm a great fan of apple pie.
Me too.
With custard.
Okay.
What else do I like? I love a good lemon meringue, and I can make quite a good lemon meringue. I'm quite comfortable with sweets of some. I'm not very comfortable with doing savouries in the kitchen, but I'm good with a cake and a pudding and stuff. And though my partner doesn't really approve because he thinks sugar is poison. So
it's ambrosia, nectar of the gods.
It really is.
It's amazing.
I mean, drip it away. I'm very happy. Very happy.
Okay. All right. Are you ready for me to read back your order?
I'm afraid I would want a cheese break.
A cheese break. Okay. Where does the cheese break fit in? Is that before the pudding?
Yeah, I think it really does. But I know in restaurants they like to put it after the pudding, so they tend to put it a cheese break with some really strong cheddar cheese. And the best cheddar cheese that I know is from the area where I live. It's I live in a place called Rugby, which is in Warwickshire, and there's a thing called extra strong Warwickshire cheese, and it doesn't seem to be produced anywhere else. It's like sort of extra cheddar, and it's very smelly. It's smellier, I think, even than Stilton. And I remember I used to secrete some of it away in my suitcase when I travelled to teach in Russia. And on one occasion, that and a bottle of Ribena or two. I'm Ribena. I don't know do you have Ribena in the States?
I'm sure we have everything.
It's a sort of purple liquid, which you dilute, and I was fascinated because in Russia they have Ribena, and I thought, oh, this is the original. It is, unfortunately, it is, and obviously some wag in the UK in the 1930s thought, I need a name for this strange purple drink I'm making for children, and here I see in my Soviet textbook there's a drink called Ribena, which is the same color. It's a foul, sour tasting concoction. My God, I mean, even the dogs would vomit that up. And so I did buy an entire bottle in a Russian supermarket. Only once. Once was enough. Never again. Now I put it in my suitcase. And anyway, on one dreadful occasion, my suitcase got delayed in the airport, and I had to go back about 5 days later to get it, and I could smell the cheese
man.
from the lobby. And there was lots of niet, and da. And all this sort of explanation. But the French would say chacun son goût, and the Russians would say chashka de liu chai, stokon de liu vodka. Some people like tea, some people like vodka. Frankly, I like both. But yeah, vodka would be a good one. Quite like vodka, but no mixer, no ice, no watery stuff. Just vodka or raki or ouzo. Wonderful stuff. Ouzo, you actually need to have some water because it needs to get a sort of white color. But raki, and I can remember some very interesting car journeys with people who were drinking homemade raki, which is incredibly potent. And I remember one old man in Albania on a mountain pass, and he was driving his car. He was driving the car. We were going somewhere, I think, to Elbasan or something. And we were literally on a mountain pass. We looked out of the window, and there was sky below us. There were clouds below us, and we looked out the other window, and the clouds on that side. And this is a very, very thin little strip of road along the top of the ridge of the mountain pass. And I remember saying to my friend who was with me, I said, "You can understand why Edward Lear regarded this area as paradise." And my friend said, if the driver doesn't put his hands back on the wheel, we'll be in paradise. And the driver had literally taken both his hands off the wheel and was swigging back his bottle of raki as we were on this incredibly precarious mountain pass. I saw my life flash in front of me. Next question.
Had a little out-of-body experience there, huh? All right.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm going to read back your menu. You tell me if you're good with that. So we're going to start with tea from a pot. It's got to be Irish, and we're going to have it with milk.
Yeah.
Sound good?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Then we're going to go for your starter. We're going stuffed vine leaves a la Turk.
Yep.
All right. And then we're just going to throw the sauce. Just throw it away. Just get rid of it.
Throw the sauce away.
We're not going to waste time on that.
We're going to do the same thing with the steak, which we get.
We're going to do pita bread with breadsticks.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And then we've got our steak with maybe a little salt and pepper, cooked rare, right? Just right.
Yep.
And then we're going to have cooked spinach as well as your side.
Absolutely. Not as my side is. They're together on the same thing.
Okay.
We don't want to let the spinach sort of run away from the steak. Right. They're together.
They're together. All right.
But the spinach should not be watery. It needs to be dried.
Wow, that's complicated balance right in there. Got to get it just right.
Well, we don't want it crying.
Oh, this is the fantasy restaurant. We can get it.
The spinach should be happy spinach.
Happy spinach.
Sitting there on the plate saying, "Are you Popeye?" Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I'm the nearest thing you're going to get to Popeye. I'm Robin Williams look-alike. Hello, I am what I am. Or whatever he says.
And then you'll devour them. Gotcha. All right.
Yeah, I will.
All right, so next we're doing the cheese break. And it's going to be strong cheddar. We're looking for extra strong Warwickshire? What was it?
Extra strong Warwickshire. But you can call it extra strong cheddar and just be safe. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And then last we're doing a pudding that's going to be like an apple pie.
I think so. Yeah, with custard.
With custard.
Wonderful custard.
With custard. Wrote it down, so we're good.
Yeah. What the American the French call that some sort of sauce à l'anglaise or something, don't they? They're not very complimentary about it, but it is wonderful. I love custard. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for joining me in the fantasy restaurant.
We could, if you wanted, instead of the cheese break, we could put the cheese at the end, and we could have a sorbet break.
Nice.
Which would be a lemon sorbet.
Ooh.
Something a little tart.
Yeah.
To to break from the steak.
I like that.
Yeah, I also like making sorbet as well. That's great. Lots of sugar.
Oh, fantastic. Well, are you ready to talk about yourself a bit?
I thought I never did anything else.